What's up, spell slingers and Highlander enthusiasts? Havoc here, and today we are looking at the lands, artifacts, and the multicolored cards in Dominaria from a strictly Highlander point of view. Now, I should have done this video first, and I'll fix that in my next set review, but hey, I'm new here, so cut me some slack. But these multicolored cards really signal what the color pairing is trying to do in the set. And since most of these cards are also legendary creatures or planeswalkers, they also tell you what their Brawl deck will look like if that's a possibility. We will review what artifacts are notable in the set since there usually aren't too many that will make an impact, but first we have to talk very quickly about the land cycles that are in this set as well. So strap yourself in because this could be a long one. There are only two land cycles that we really need to talk about for the lands. The enemy colored check lands are all reprinted in this set, which is really nice. So if you haven't gotten a copy of these for your EDH collection, now would be the time to pick them up. But also, these will play a huge role in Brawl for the next year and a half. We also got a cycle of single color lands with different effects when you sack them. The white one, if you sack it for 3 in white, gives you 2 1/1 soldier tokens. The blue one, if you sack it and pay 4 in a blue, you get to draw 2 cards. The black one for sack and 2 in black, you get a creature back from your graveyard. The red one for 4 and a red, you get to destroy target land. I know this doesn't look good on the surface, but with Rivals and Ixalan just being released and all of these legendary lands floating around, it could be good to take care of one of those. The green one for sack and 2 green, you get to look at the top 5 cards of your library and reveal a creature into your hand. I like these as utility, and you pair these up with some of the lands that we got in Hour of Devastation, and as far as the land slot goes, you can get more out of them than just tapping for mana. Not really anything here too impactful for EDH, but still something to remember while you're building your Brawl decks. Now, there is some artifact synergy in the set, and being on Dominaria, you know that we're going to get something to think about. And we also get reunited with an old friend. So let's see what artifacts we need to keep our eye on. First, we see the 2 that could be potential Brawl commanders. First is Karn, Scion of Urza. Karn is back! Now, this isn't the same power level of Big Daddy Karn Liberated, but he is still very powerful. Karn Liberated, much like Ugin, is a game ender if he gets on the board, but the Scion of Urza works a little differently. Paying 4 mana for a planeswalker that immediately goes up to 6 loyalty is more than solid. The fact that Karn is colorless means that he can go in any deck and get value drawing cards. I don't see him as a commander in Brawl, 1, because there's very little support for a colorless commander in Standard right now, and 2, he's really not a build around me type of planeswalker that I like. But you can do what you want. One thing's for sure, if I crack him open, there are a ton of decks that I will slot him into immediately. The other legendary creature that's colorless is Traxos, Scourge of Krug. I don't really see anyone talking about this guy, but this looks amazing to me. A 7/7 with trample for 4 colorless mana, wow. Sure, he comes in tap, but for 4 mana, you could easily stack your deck with enough low-cost artifacts to make sure that he gets untapped right away. If only we had an artifact in Standard right now that costs 0 mana. He does fall victim to the same reasons why Karn isn't viable in Brawl right now with very little colorless support. But I think this is a nice include in artifact decks like Brea or Duretti. And in those decks, not only would you have the artifacts to untap Traxos, but if you build your deck right, then you probably have other creatures in there that untap target artifacts anyways. Traxos is something to keep your eye on in this set, especially with Karn getting all of the colorless attention right now. Those are the 2 colorless legendaries, which is a lot considering we usually don't get any potential commanders in colorless. Both are interesting and both will be welcomed with open arms into the EDH format. Now for the rest of the colorless cards, we have Black Blade Reforged. Now here is a new toy for you Voltron or equipment commanders out there. They cost 2 to cast and 3 to equip, which is not bad, but let's be honest, if you're running an equipment theme, you likely are equipping this for free and possibly casting it for free as well. But this is so powerful as an equipment. This will probably give your creatures +3/+3 to their power and toughness at least, and will grow even stronger over time. What if you put this into a landfall deck though? This could easily get out of control fast. Now, I cannot see Gideon wielding this sword, but we'll just have to wait and see. This is just a great sword to add to your collection right here. Next is Damping Sphere. Finally, an answer to your friend's combo deck. Now, this doesn't shut out combo completely, but if your play group is very combo heavy, then you have another artifact that you can just slot into every deck to dissuade them from going that route. I'm not a big fan of combo, and I also don't play against a lot of combo players, but this is just really great hate here. I'll probably put a copy into my Miri Hate Bears deck. I mean, I already run Solemnity in that deck, so it seems pretty automatic to me. We have Forebearer's Blade. I like the stats this blade gives and the keywords too. And after that first equip, unless your creature gets exiled, you're equipping this for free. I like that a lot. Now, this isn't like blow me away powerful here, but in Brawl, if you want to try to make an equipment theme work, then this will probably be in it. We have Gilded Lotus back, another good reprint. This for some is actually a commander staple, and I actually don't have a copy of this yet. So if you're like me, then make sure you pick yourself up a copy, but I'd wait a couple months. If you don't open one from your packs or from pre-release, then I would wait, because the price is going to tank even more once stores start cracking their packs. And this won't be in every Brawl deck because you don't get that payoff until you're at 5 mana, and that might be a little too slow for some. And it could just be a dead card in your hand for a long time if you can't ramp up to it. Next is Helm of the Host. This card has caused me a lot of headaches since it was spoiled. I just really want to get this out once and see what happens. Now, you can view this card really one of two ways. Remember, you don't have to attack with the equipped creature. You just get the token at the beginning of combat and it has haste. So the first way is the hyper-aggressive route. So you suit up a nasty commander and send in the token copy every turn like a wrecking ball. Meanwhile, your commander is sitting back all safe-like. That sounds awesome to me, but the second way to abuse this is to get multiple triggers or multiple activated abilities and then get more of those the next turn and then get more of those the next turn and so on and so on and so on. I really think this is going to enable some ridiculous combos out there, but my mind hurts just thinking about this. Watch for some brews coming around this card because I'm sure someone is just going to break this. The one thing that levels this out for me is the investment. You have to invest 9 mana to get this online, but again, an equipment deck will be able to cheat both the casting cost and the equip cost most likely. Another reprint we have here is Icy Manipulator, but this artifact is just really powerful. If you're running a control deck in Brawl, this might be good for you since once you get this on the board, all you have to do is leave up 1 mana and continually tap down your opponent's best creature or their Gilded Lotus or something. Icy Manipulator is just pretty good. Next we have Mishra's Self-Replicator. Remember here, Historic counts all artifacts, legendaries, and sagas, and this creates a copy of itself, which means this will grow exponentially as long as you can pay for the 1 mana. If there was only a way that we could create infinite mana in EDH. Oh wait, so here's another infinite combo piece that I see. You just need a way to cast and recast an artifact and then give those guys haste and boom! You win with a legion of 2/2s. Again, I'm not a combo player, so what combo do you see for this in EDH? Next we have Mox Amber. I don't think this is as good as the other Moxes because of the legendary stipulation, but it's still a Mox and it's still good. Like I said before, in our formats, EDH and Brawl, we have consistent access to a legendary creature, but the point of a Mox is to help you ramp. But if you need your commander on the field, then this kind of negates the whole point of having a 0 mana ramp artifact. So like most everyone else, we will have to wait and see how this does. The last of the notable artifacts that we need to talk about is the Thrawn Temporal Gateway. One of the most powerful things you can do in Magic is cheat mana cost onto the battlefield, and that's what this gateway does. Now, it only works for historic spells, like a lot of the artifacts we've talked about so far, so kind of narrow, but it can still cheat out an Ulamog, a Progenitus, or maybe a Zakama very early. Seems good. Won't be for every deck, but still a good way to get out your big threats if you have enough big legends in your 99. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with the artifacts that we get. There's a lot to brew around here and more pieces for the combo puzzle and also damping spheres so you can keep those combo players in check. Overall, I really like these colorless cards. Next, we need to look at the multicolored cards in Dominaria. Now, there are 20 multicolored legendary creatures. This is an EDH and Brawl brewer's dream here. So my comments around these will mainly be around their ability to be a general and what their corresponding decks will look like. So here are the legends. First we have Niambi, Faithful Healer. Niambi is from a Planeswalker deck and is worse than garbage and is unplayable in EDH and Brawl. Was that too harsh? I mean, what do you want me to say here? Am I missing a combo or something? Really? Wrath Capuchin, Ship's Mage, is a 4-mana 3/3 flyer in Azorius colors with Flash. Just solid stats right there. And he gives all of your historic spells Flash as well. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen the prices lately of Vidalcan Orrery? Yeah, they're ridiculous. That's because thanks to guys like Josh Lee Kawhi and the Command Zone, everyone realizes the power of casting things with Flash. Now this isn't as good as the Orrery, but it's close. You could potentially have an artifacty, control-y theme here and just play your land and say go. Leaving up mana for a counter or an artifact or a legendary creature, nothing drives people crazy or makes them more worried than seeing a blue player passing without tapping any lands down. And Wrath could do this to an even greater degree. Makes me kind of sick. Next is Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Now, Teferi don't play. You can +1 him and reduce his casting cost basically down to 3, or -3 him to do like a super repeal to a non-land permanent. And if you get this guy into ult range, it's just game over. I'm getting shivers just thinking about this Planeswalker. Now, I don't know if Wrath idolizes Teferi. I mean, I guess who wouldn't idolize this guy? But I see a lot of controlling similarities between this two. So either Teferi is going to be in Wrath's deck or Wrath is going to be in Teferi's deck, but they both want to be working together. Teferi is just a bomb Planeswalker and everyone knows it. I'm not a finance guy, but I wouldn't expect his price to dip very much after release, so here's hoping you get lucky and find him in a pack. We have another Teferi, Teferi Timebender. If you can't find the Hero of Dominaria version in a pack, you can just buy the Planeswalker deck. Just kidding, this Teferi is not good. Yeah, I don't like this version, which makes sense because the general theme of Planeswalker decks is to not be very good. I'll have to pass on this Teferi. We have Rona, Disciple of Gix. I like this as an ability to get back something from your graveyard, but her 4 mana and tap ability I don't like. Now, if this said you could cast all exiled cards, it would be really good. Too good. That's probably why it doesn't. But to make this a thing, you need to be able to stack the top of your deck, and then even if you exile the right card, then what? Your opponents can see it coming, and it's no different than if you just cast it from your hand. Paying for and tapping is just not good in my opinion. I'll have to pass on Rona as well. Next is Garna, the Blood Flame. Now we have a good one. Her ability can just be a blowout in the right situations. Getting back all your creatures after a board wipe is nice and really disheartening for your opponents. Or you could run this in an Aristocrat's shell. You could sack your board, probably get some mana out of the sacks, and then that helps you cast Garna, and then you just get them all back. The ability also says creatures from anywhere, so you could potentially self-mill and then cast Garna to get some creatures back to your hand. The only thing I don't like about this is that it does say back to your hand. I wish this went straight onto the battlefield, but again, that's probably wishful thinking. You could also play around the flash ability by blocking to kill your opponent's board and thereby losing some of your creatures, but then you get them back again. I'm kind of medium on Garna right now, but I see potential here. Grand Warlord Radha. Now, this is the most buff elf I have ever seen, and she wants to be your red-green commander. I mean, her title is Grand Warlord. It's what she does. The red-green version of elves is a more hyper-aggressive of the variants, but I don't see this as elf tribal, really. This is more of a red-green aggressive commander. Because with the elves, you're going to want to tap them for mana, and that kind of negates her ability to gain the mana from the attackers. So what you need is creatures who want to attack, the ones who get boons when they do attack, and have some built-in recursion like maybe phoenixes. You get your force ready, you ambush them with Radha and use her haste, and then cast something big with all the mana that you just gained. I like Radha. She seems interesting and niche and something that I really like to brew around. Next we have Halar, the Fire Fletcher, and here we have another interesting niche commander. This dude is going to run your kicker tribal deck, and this seems fun to me, and he's in 2 of the best colors for kicker. Green gives you that ramp you need to repeatedly kick your spells, and red lets you burn. Green will also help you stack those +1/+1 counters on Highlander with things like doubling season, so you can burn down all your opponents that much faster. I'm going to have to get on Gatherer now and see just how many kicker cards I can stuff into Highlander 99. We have Shauna, Cissei's Legacy. Now, unlike her ancestor, Shauna doesn't tutor up your legends, but she's still a pretty nice include in a green-white token shell, where she can get out of control really fast. I have her going into my Hawatli Radiant Champion deck, but you could easily slot her into any other tokens EDH deck that runs green and white. And that quasi hexproof that she has is pretty nice too. Arvad the Cursed. I'm not very high on Arvad as a commander. I guess you could go Orzhov Legends if you wanted to capitalize on his +2/+2, but it seems kind of lame to me. I see him more as an include in the 99 of Edgar, and definitely in the next legend, Ariel, Knight of Windgrace. Ariel will be tomorrow's deck tech, because as soon as I saw this card spoiled and all the other knights in Dominaria, I was in love. I didn't know how much I wanted to be a knight until I saw this card. Just look at this. She's riding a stinking panther. I want this in foil. I want this in a full art from the proxy guy, and I want a poster of this hanging above my bed at night. She is awesome, and her abilities are just she makes tokens, and we all know how much I love tokens, and then she can use those tokens to destroy something. All right, I have to stop. We'll talk more about this tomorrow in the deck tech. Next is Adeliz, the Cinder Wind. Let's talk about Adeliz. She is your blue-red wizard tribal commander. I don't like it. Not because she's not good. Oh, she's good. I'm just in pre-dread from playing against this stupid wizard. So what do wizards do? Oh, not much. Just bounce your creatures or tap them down or draw their owner cards or blank your creature's text box. Yeah, dumb. I don't want to think about this gathering of all the stupid wizards either in Brawl or in EDH. I just can't even right now. Next is Joyra, Weatherlight Captain. So you're telling me every time I cast an artifact I can just draw a card? What? Does Wizards know how many artifacts there are out there? And that there are decks out there that this is all they do? They just cast artifacts and draw cards to cast more artifacts to draw cards. Dumb. Just straight dumb. That being said, I'll take a copy for my Brea deck. And we have Slimefoot the Stowaway. Finally, let's talk about Slimefoot. This has got to be one of the most popular cards in the set. Maybe Yargle is a little more, but for some reason, people love fungus and saprolings, and I'm one of them. Gave is one of my favorite commanders, and he does some of this, but my deck's really more concerned about pumping out tokens and placing +1/+1 counters than really a saproling tribal type thing. There's no doubt that Slimefoot goes in Gave's 99, but what Slimefoot is doing or wanting to do, is that better than Gave? This will be my next matchup for top commander, so I'll reserve my comments about who does saprolings better until then. But I see Slimefoot as a decent Brawl commander as well. There aren't that many saproling synergy cards in standard right now. A good amount, but not enough to stuff this as full as you want it to be in order to supplement all the other things. But Slimefoot will be good, and I'll have a deck tech for him as well. Next is Firesong and Sunspeaker. This is the buy a box promo, so unless you're gonna buy this off TCG Player, the only other way to get this is to buy a box. And this legend and the next are both in Boros colors, and what I love about these two is that they aren't the hyper aggressive like commanders that we're used to seeing in these colors. Usually Boros commanders want you to swing out every single turn and just keep swinging, and that isn't for everyone, and definitely not for me. But these two Minotaurs aren't attackers, they're clerics. Clerics with crazy abilities. Red spells have lifelink and white life gain spells turn into burn. I love this. I love the concept. It gets my brain working. Now this could be a Brawl commander, but what I really want to do is make this into an EDH deck because of the greater amount of cards to brew with. Yeah, my brain has been all over the place with this set, so as soon as I free up some space, Firesong and Sunspeaker will get their deck as well. Next we have Tiana, Ship's Caretaker. Speaking of being distracted, Tiana is one of those reasons. Hey, what's the worst thing about auras? They go away when the creature dies. What if you could negate that effect? That's what Tiana does, and I love it. I have loved auras for such a long time, but their drawback was just too punishing for me. If you put your auras on one creature, all your opponent has to do is kill that one creature, and all of the auras go away. That's like a 3 or 4 for 1 sometimes, and that feels bad, man. Tiana says, you aura players have hope now. She could be Voltron by just suiting herself up and swinging because she already has the flying, but you could also go with tokens. So that way you suit up a token, send it in, and if it dies, it's just a token. And you get all your auras back to recast them the next turn. Take your pick, but I like this red-white angel a lot. We have Tatiova, Benthic Druid. If you ever wanted a Russian mail order mermaid, well, here you go. Her mana cost is a little high, and this would be much more powerful if you could get her out early when you knew you're going to be playing a lot of lands, but she's still really good. Getting a card for every land you play is awesome. This isn't my cup of tea because all this is a card draw engine, so you ought to put in some win conditions, but Tatiova will help you find them quickly, especially in EDH where you can get a lot of land drops in a turn. I can see a lot of people having her as a commander because of that ability, or maybe going Merfolk Tribal. We'll have to see. Next we have Daragaz Reincarnated. Daragaz is all about reanimating himself, which for our format sidesteps command attacks, which is really nice, but there's no way to speed this up. You know, and everyone else knows when he's coming back. That being said, after your first cast of him, you won't ever have to worry about spending mana on him again, which is nice. He's a big beater with trample and evasion and haste, which is nice, and he's in 3 colors. I'm not high on him right now, but who knows. Joda, Archmage Eternal. Joda is just nuts. Enough said. No, but seriously, I made an episode of Top Commander where I matched up Joda against Ramos, another 5-color big spells commander. If you want to know my thoughts on Joda, just go watch the video. But in short, he's good. And I'll be making a Joda EDH deck for sure. The last of your multicolored legends is Muldrotha the Gravetide. Another potential commander that they just knock out of the park here. This works for all permanents, which is crazy to me. I don't think this is better than Marin in the Graveyard Shenanigans department, but he takes a different spin on things, which I like. Mostly because what he wants to do is all self-contained in his text box, and I can see this being a very powerful commander in both Brawl and EDH. Watch your butts, because Muldrotha will soon be coming to a graveyard near you. So wow, we did it. All 20 multicolored legends in Dominaria. This is going to be a great set. So if you enjoyed my video... What? There's more. What haven't we covered? Seriously? There are 2 more cards we need to talk about in Dominaria in the multicolored spells. The first of those spells is Oath of Teferi. Oath of Teferi is a 5-mana enchantment in Azorius colors like its namesake. It blanks a permanent you control like, oh, I don't know, a Planeswalker. This way you can reset its loyalty, but you can choose any permanent and get massive value out of this. But this enchantment's real power comes in its second paragraph of text. You may activate loyalty abilities of Planeswalkers twice. This just gives Super Friends players another target to play other than the Chain Veil to completely break the format and ruin whatever friendships they have left. This is a strong card, and if you see it, you need to get rid of it because it will destroy you. You have been warned. And absolutely last, but not least, is Primeval's Glorious Rebirth. I'm not too much of a fan of this one here. It's too narrow for my liking, both as a legendary sorcery and that it only targets legendary permanents in your graveyard, and you get all of this narrow ability for the cheap cost of 7 mana. I guess it does put them directly back on the battlefield, so you could potentially purposefully send your big legends to the bin and then get them all back for 7 mana, but still, I don't see it happening. No thanks for me. So there you have it, all the lands, the colorless spells, and the multicolored cards you need to know of in Dominaria if you're an EDH or Brawl player. I think Wizards did an excellent job crafting this set, and I hope this is a sign for the future of what we can be expecting from them. For those of you still with us, thank you very much for watching this extremely long video. But as always, I want to hear from you. What did you think of this massive amount of cards? Did I miss any obvious includes in your favorite commander deck? Let me know. And if you like this video and you want to see more, hit that thumbs up button down there. It helps out a lot. Every day we're moving closer and closer to that 100 sub mark. And if you haven't subbed, go ahead and do it. Once we get to 100, I'll be giving away stuff. So tell your friends about my channel so they have a chance of winning too. Once again, my name is Havoc. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.